So we're here today at Field End Waters. We've got a minimal amount of gear, a pole, a bag and a chair. And I'm going to show you how to become a pole fishing expert in under an hour. Let's go and get fishing. So first things first, we got to our peg. When you get your new pole, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to elasticate the top kit. So take your top kit out of your pole, and then you'll notice that a lot of modern poles have got these side pullers. So this is where we're going to start. First things first, the few things that you need to elasticate your pole. Some elastic. I've chosen 12 to 14 slick elastic. There's a few carp in here and I know it'll handle them perfectly. Some Dacron connectors. This is where you're going to attach your pole rig to, and another essential piece of equipment. A couple of other items, some puller beads to stop the elastic by the puller, and you've got a little puller tool which will help you just to get these beads onto your elastic. Finally, scissors. You don't want to be biting elastic with a teeth, so we've got some scissors to help us. So let's have a look at where we're starting. Let's grab our elastic out and have a look. Elastic choice is quite specific to where you're fishing, but if you're fishing for carp in the sort of 2 to 5 pound bracket, 12 to 14 slick elastic is a perfect choice to start off with. So what I've got one end of my elastic, and what I'm going to do is put a puller bead on this. So I'm going to grab myself a bead out the packet, and then what I want to do is put our puller tool through the thick end of the bead, out the smaller end, like so. Put your elastic into the puller and pull your bead onto the elastic. Pull a little bit through, and all I'm going to do is tie a quick loop in the end of my elastic, and this knot will stop your elastic pulling through. So pull your knot down tight. Take your scissors, just trim the tag end a bit and pull that in. So our bead's on, and that's going to stop the elastic going through the pole. Now let's go down, grab the other end of our elastic and start threading it through our pole. So we're going to grab the thicker end of your top kit, look for the puller and pass the elastic through the slot on the top kit, and just thread your elastic all the way down and out the end. So with a new pole, this is a really easy task and it'll come straight out. So grab the other end, pull the elastic all the way through, and as you can see there, the bead is stopping it pulling through the puller. Next, we're going to grab the thinner top section, go from the thick end and pass your elastic down here. Thread it right the way down. Nice and easy. There we go. So we're threading our elastic all the way down until it pops out the end. So making sure you've got the other end of your elastic. Now what we're going to do is attach the Dacron connector, which will allow us to attach our rig. So we'll get our Dacron connector out the packet. Now these come on a nice little plastic sleeve, all ready to slide straight over your elastic. So just take it off the sleeve like so and pass your elastic through that bead, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to tie one simple granny knot with two, pass it through twice, just moisten it slightly, pull it down tight, so we've got a nice little knot in our elastic. And then all we need to do then is pull the Dacron connector, the Dacron on the Dacron connector down tight up to the back of the knot and slide the bead over the elastic. So the knot is all hidden inside, really nice and easy. Take your scissors, just trim off the tag end, and there we have it. Nice and neat. Your top kit's ready to go, elasticated. All we need to do is get our rig, attach it to the top kit and get fishing. So with a top kit all elasticated, next thing we need is a pole rig. Now, if you go to your tackle shop, you'll probably find all manner of pre-tied pole rigs that'll take the work out easily. But if you want maximum satisfaction of doing everything yourself, we're going to quickly run through how to tie a simple pole rig to catch you some fish. So first off, we've got our top kit here. I've got the thin end, the Dacron connector here. I've got some line. Today I've gone for 018, which is 6.5 pound line, which is more than enough for the carp that we're going to be targeting today. So I'm pulling a little bit of line off. All I'm going to do is tie a figure of 8 loop in our line. There we go. So tie our loop down. And it's a reasonably big loop. You don't need to tie a tiny loop to attach the top pole rig to the top. Get our scissors, just trim our tag end off. So with our loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my finger and I'm going to pass the main line through the loop that we've just made to create a second loop. Now this is the loop where we're going to attach our pole rig to our Dacron connector. So place the Dacron connector through that loop, pull it down tight, and you'll see it creates a nice little knot. Slide that up to your Dacron connector. So your line's now secure and attached to your top kit. So all we're going to do, it's a reasonably deep lake here, so we're going to go to a full top kit's length. I'm just going to pull line off, let some line come off. Put our top kit down out of the way, and then just going to trim that line there. So we've got enough line, put our line out of the way, and all we need to do now, we need a float. So I've got the float here. It's a 4x14 float. We've got about 5 or 6 feet in front of us, so it's a reasonable depth. 4x14 is a nice depth. So I'm going to pass the line through the eye on the float, and then pass that through, slide that down. Now I've already got on my float 3 pieces of silicone rubber. Now you might notice here that I've got 2 short pieces and 1 long piece. Now the long piece on the base needs to be overhanging the end of the stem on the float. Now this will just stop you getting tangles. So we'll take our silicone off there, and we'll pass our line through these pieces of silicone and put them onto the line. So we'll pass our second piece on, and then our third longer piece. So we've got our silicone on the line. Now all we need to do is get your stem of your float and just pass the stem of the float into the base, into the silicone, to secure your float onto the line. So slide them up. We want 1 piece here. You don't want it tight up to the base of the pole float, just to stop damage. Just have a little bit away from your pole float. Next piece of silicone in the middle of the stem, and like I say, the third one just overhanging the base there, that just stops the pole float getting wrapped up. So we'll slide our pole float up the line and out of the way a bit. So with my pole float attached on the line, all I'm going to do is tie another loop in the bottom end of the rig. Now this is where we're going to attach our hook link. So we're going to make a slightly smaller loop. We don't need a loop as big as the top to attach the Dacron. So a nice compact little loop. Just tie a figure of 8 there, pull it down tight. Now what I'm going to do first, now I've tied this, I'm going to attach my hook link. Now I've just chosen some MXC2 pre-tied hooks. These are 6-inch in a size 16. All I need to do is take it out the packet. Now a loop to loop is quite easy, but a nice one to get, a nice important one. You want your loop to sit nicely and have maximum strength. So take your main line loop that you've just put your pole float onto, pass this through the loop on your pre-tied hook link, take your hook and pass your hook through the main line loop. Oh, just missed it there. So there we go, our loop to loop, nice strong, nice figure of 8. So with my loop to loop tied, my hook's attached, all I've got to do is attach some shot onto my rig to weight my float down. I'm using a 4x14 float today, and I know it takes 6 number 8 shot. Now a 4x14 float takes 0.4 of a gram. So that is, hang on, just need to work it out. How many number 8s would it be? 7. 6 number 8s and a number 10, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to get those shot on and we'll have a look at plumbing up. Right then, so we've got our rig tied, we've got our shot on. I've got 6 number 8s just above the loop on my hook link, so it's 6 inches away from the hook, which is a nice for carp, and with the baits we're going to be fishing with corn and pellets. So, but the most important thing of all fishing is plumbing up and making sure you use a plummet to know that you're on the bottom. So all I'm going to do is slide my hook through the loop on the top of the plummet into the foam on the bottom, and I'm going to ship out. I'm using the full 6 meters of my torque pole today, so I'm going to ship out to my mark, and I've got my forearm, I'm up to my elbow along the pole, so this is the most comfortable way to hold your pole. And so that's there, I know exactly where I'm fishing each time. And the next thing I'm going to do is pick a marker on the far bank. Now there's a white house over here, so I'm going to line up with that white house. I'm going to lift my rig up in the water and I'm going to slowly lower it down until I feel the bottom. Now I can see my float is under the water there. Now if I lift it a couple of inches, the float pops out, so I know I need to move my float up a bit. So I'm going to ship back my pole, I'm going to get back to my float, and I'm going to add a couple of inches on. I'm going to repeat that same process again, because you want to make sure you don't have good guessing. You want to make sure that you're definitely on the bottom. So ship out, I lift my rig up in the water, so my plummet's not caught on anything, and slowly lower it down in line with that marker. Now look, my float's still just a bit under the water. Now if I thought I was on the bottom there, I'm going to be fishing off the bottom, so that's not good. So we'll inch it up again, grab our rig and just knock it up a couple more inches until I think we'll be there. So fingers crossed this time we'll be near enough and be bang on the bottom. So lifting it up again, slowly lowering it down right on that spot, and there, so the bristle is just out of the water. Now I want my rig a little bit deeper than that, because the rig is tight when you plummet it on, but when you've just got your bait on, your rig's not tight. So I want to move it up about an inch and a half. Ideally I'm aiming so that the base of the pole float is just touching the water. So let's have a look at this. There we go. So we're just touching the base of the water. So I know that when my rig's not under tension, my bait's going to be sitting just on the bottom. So that's perfect. So with that done, we can quickly whip the plummet off and get fishing. Now, the first thing to do when we're going to go fishing, we need to feed. So I don't want to be throwing my bait in. It's still spring. The fish aren't really active, so I don't want to be throwing my bait in and my bait going everywhere. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to use a flexi toss pot on the top of my pole. Now this is a large size. There's some big fish in here and they can eat a lot of bait. So all I'm going to do is give it a squeeze, attach it onto my top kit, give it a bit of a squeeze. My flexi toss pot is there on my top kit. Now positioning of your flexi toss pot is important. You don't want it sitting back here on your pole tip, because when you tip your bait in, you're going to be nowhere near where you're actually fishing. So about an inch back, half an inch back from your pole tip's perfect, so it's not going to get caught on anything. So with our toss pot on, our rig's plumbed up, let's look at feeding. So I'm going to start off with a piece of corn. I've got 2 baits on my side tray. I've got corn, everyone loves a bit of corn, and I've got some hard 4mm pellets. So all I'm going to do is hook my piece of corn through the top, have my hook just pointing out the side, flick that out, and I'm going to take 30 pellets, put them in my pot, ready to feed. Now here's an important thing. Pellets can quite often rattle out your pole when you're shipping out, so make sure you just dunk your pole under the water and put some water in that cup, and that'll stop all your pellets falling out, rattling out as you're shipping out. So carefully shipping out now, making sure you don't tip your pot over. Attach your pole, ship out nice and slowly. Next thing, so find your marker. I'm lined up with my white house. I'm going to tip my pot over, and from a bit of a height I'm just going to rattle in some pellets. So pellets rattled in. All I'm going to do now is just lift my rig out of the water slightly, about a foot. Just let that bulk of shot and my hook bait fall down nicely, and then I'm going to slowly lower my rig into place in line with my marker. Now there we go, we're fishing. So hopefully it won't be long before we get a bite, but you never know. It is early spring, so in the summer what I might do is I might feed twice, 2 or 3 times with a pole pot on before I start fishing, just to get a bit of bait down there. In the summer the fish feed a lot more, with a lot more vigour than they do in the springtime, and you need a bit more bait to attract them. So I'm going to give it 5 minutes or so, have a look, see what's happening. If I've not had a bite in 5 minutes, I'll ship back again and put 10 more pellets in the cup and just tap 10 more pellets in. Now if I'm oh, the float's lifted out of the water there, that was a lift bite straight away, so that's a good sign. So I'm just going to lower my rig again, back in line, lower it down slowly, in line with where you've been fishing. Just drop it down there, so we've had a bit of an indication straight away, so hopefully we're in for a good day here. Oh, there we go, we're into a fish already. So just hold it steady, let the elastic do the work. We're just slowly going to ship our pole back. Slowly ship our pole back till we get to our top kit, and just hold it. We're not in any rush, we've got all day, so we're going to hold our pole now. This is feels like quite a nice fish. I think we've possibly got a carp on here. Just let the elastic do the work, there's no need to rush. Enjoy the fight, let the elastic do the work. Now let the fish pull. What the great thing is with side pullers as well, if I feel that I'm struggling to get the fish in any closer, all I can do, I can get my puller and just pull a little bit of elastic out, trap it with my fingers, and it just essentially tightens up the elastic slightly. So just take your time, just wait for that fish. You don't want to be losing everything, and if you feel the fish going, just let that elastic go a little bit. You can always tighten it up again once he's come back under control. Get our net ready, hopefully into our first fish of the day. I don't think it's a great big carp, a couple of pounds maybe, a mirror, but he's fighting very hard. He's putting up a good account for himself. Like I said, we were talking about elastic choices. This is a 12 to 14 slick elastic, which for this sort of size carp is absolutely perfect. I think if I was going to fish for great big carp, oh there we go, I might step up a grade. And now the fish is in the net, I can just let go of my elastic, let the elastic back in the pole, and there we have our first fish of the day. Lovely little mirror carp. So I'm going to ship my top kit back a little bit, put that down carefully and unhook my fish. He'll behave long enough just to have a little look at him. So a lovely scaly mirror carp to start the day, a couple of pounds, 2.5 pounds, beautiful. So let's get him back in the water. and we'll look at where we go from now. So we've caught our first fish, brilliant. We're off the mark. What do we need to do now? Now, for me, we need to, there's a few fish there, so I'm going to put, we've had a bite quite quickly, so I'm going to put the same in again. 25 to 30 pellets in my tub, a piece of corn on the hook, down through the top. Just put the hook point just out the side, so that sits nicely on there. Flick that out into the water. I'm going to add another 25 pellets in our tub. Dip your flexi toss pot under the water so the pellets don't all fall out, and then carefully ship out again. Well, there we go. What a lovely ghosty. We've been fishing for about 15 minutes now. Caught 4 or 5 carp, which isn't bad to say. We've not been fishing very long, just doing exactly the same thing, tapping a few pellets in, keeping everything nice and accurate on the bottom with a piece of corn. I think we should get back out there and try and catch another one. Well, we've hooked a slightly better one this time. I think this is going to be the last one of the day. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If we can have a look at this one. Let's have a look at this one. What a beautiful fish. Slightly bigger than the others. Unhook him. Let's put this down and we can have a proper look at this one that we've caught. So there we go. Whoa, he's an angry one. Beautiful mirror. Look at that. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed the video and got some tips on starting pole fishing, from elasticating your pole right through to catching fish like this. If you enjoyed it, don't forget, give the video a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you soon.